While studying for examination point of view, if you don't read all the novels and plays thoroughly by the time of your exam, then don't panic. The main things you have to concentrate are plot, theme, main characters and a little bit of story. Apart from them you must have a good analytical mind. That means if you read a novel or a play, then don't look at it just like a story. Expand your area of thinking and relate the things you have read with other writings or other things. For example, if your answer is on feminism, then relate it to other texts which you have already read which talk about the same thing, like you can give an example of Mary Wollstonecraft's essay, A Vindication of the Rights of Woman, and also you quote something from Look Back in Anger, and many more. Another example is if you read Pride and Prejudice, then don't look at it only as a story or a love story. The text is also talking about the society of early 19th century and also a little bit of liberty and freedom of women. Elizabeth Bennet is a fine example of that. Add critics. I know many of us don't remember all critics' name at the time of exam, but don't panic at that time. Remember one thing, you are also a critic, and a best critic, so when you know that, then go for it by adding your perspective in the answer. Examiners don't like copy-paste answers. As a literature student you have to be creative, and you need to show your creativity with the help of your answers. Underline the important things which you want to highlight. Highlighting gives examiners more impact. Answers should be like 1. A short introduction of the text, play, poem. 2. Explain text and author perspective, critic's perspective, relating to other texts. Relate it also with the current situation, if possible. Your perspective. 3. Conclusion. You don't have to headline it as introduction and conclusion. Read the texts carefully. It's important to read the texts multiple times, taking notes on key themes, characters, and plot points. Analyze the texts. Develop strong analytical skills by paying attention to literary devices like symbolism, metaphor, and imagery, and how they are used in the text to convey meaning. Use secondary sources. Read criticism and analysis of the texts from other writers and scholars. To deepen your understanding and develop more nuanced interpretations of the texts. Take good notes. Organize your notes by theme, character, and plot to help you remember key details and develop coherent arguments. Practice writing essays. Write practice essays, paying attention to structure, coherence, and clarity. Make sure your arguments are supported by evidence from the text and secondary sources. Get feedback. Share your writing with others, like teachers or peers, to get feedback and constructive criticism. Use this feedback to improve your writing. Be familiar with exam format. If you're taking an exam, make sure you're familiar with the exam format, including the type of questions that will be asked and the time allotted for each section. 1. Be clear with the characters of all stories. The role of a character in every context must be clear. 2. You must know all the grammatical elements like similes, metaphors, etc. 3. You must be prepared for justification of titles of all chapters. 4. You must be able to give your critical comments on sequences and events of stories. 5. Write quality answers, i.e. use good vocabulary, write to the point whatever is necessary. For this you must also have an idea of the scheme of evaluation. 6. Read model answers in some good books, preferably Morningstar or Goyle publications. How do I score good marks for English literature? Scoring good marks in English literature demands a bit of hard as well as smart work. The hard work is before the examination. You should have a sound understanding of all the topics that are scheduled for your upcoming examination. I will list down some techniques which I followed to fetch great marks. For poems, be clear about the author, his intention of writing the poem, and on what theme is the poem based. It really helps to know certain technicalities like the meter on which the poem runs and what are the figure of speech used in it. Whatever the question, a clever mention of these things will definitely impress your teacher. Plays and novels are almost same, except that in plays you have to remember which event occurred in which act of the play. Be very thorough about this. Mentioning the act number and the scene number with all the characters present in the particular scene is always a good bet even if you don't know a lot about the play. Secondly, again remembering the age to which the author belongs and the background in which the play novel was written is crucial. There may be other topics like literary criticism or history of English literature or language. These are mostly fact-based topics and you need to prepare notes on each and every chapter because they help form a strong foundation of the subject for you. Please do not ignore these, especially history of English literature, because it is like the subject mathematics of our school days. The more you try to escape its clutches, the more tightly it will grasp back at you with its claws. Don't be scared. English is a subject to be enjoyed and loved. The more you love it, the better it will serve you in the future. All the best. How can I score more than 70% in my BAME English literature? How can I score high in English literature PG exams? How do I revise for my English literature? How can I score 90% on a BA in English? How do I write good answers in English literature and also increase my writing speed? What are the steps to get good marks in English literature? First of all, improve your grammar. Board exams are generally lengthy and tortuous. Even good students tend to make a lot of grammatical mistakes, making the answer unintelligible and thus resulting in reduced marks. Secondly, read the chapter first every time you study. Make character sketches, solve back exercises and try to position yourself as the protagonist. Might sound bizarre, but this one practice made my answering ability improve from 0 to 100. I won't recommend this, but I watched sitcoms and movies to improve my prompt answering skill and it really reflected my performance. What are the steps to get good marks in English literature? The following lines may help you to score good marks. 1. Be clear with the characters of all stories. The role of a character in every context must be clear. 2. You must know all the grammatical elements like similes, metaphors, etc. 3. You must be prepared for justification o titles of all chapters. 4. You must be able to give your critical comments on sequences and events of stories. 5. Write quality answers, i.e. use good vocabulary, write to the point whatever is necessary. 4. This you must also have an idea of the scheme of evaluation. 6. Read model answers in some good books, preferably Morningstar or Goyle publications. All the best. Read the text first, i.e. prose, poetry, play, fiction, etc., whatever it is, you should read it first. Then read a few factual details about the writer, like where was he from, what was the age or time period he wrote in, influences on the writer, his philosophy of life, socio-politico-economic conditions of that age. Then just go through the other works written by the writer. Just try to know a summary of his or her works. That much is enough. Read a few research papers on the work that is in your syllabus. Highlight a few important lines said by the critics. You can use them to quote in your answers. And yes, while reading the text, do the same, select a few quotes which you can use in your answers. You can also go for a comparative analysis if you're a good reader. Don't mug up. Just mug up the quotes, as they fetch good marks. Try to inculcate a habit of writing essay-type questions. Write it on your own after doing the base work. Perspectives and skills of literary criticism, plus the discipline of using special vocabulary and style of analysis. Personal interpretations and expressions. Special voice in speaking and writing. So from the standpoint of literary pursuits, there are no shortcuts in the improvement process. It has to be a lifestyle. My advice. Read, and read widely and deeply. Read alone. Read in print if possible. Make marginal annotations. Take notes and make notes. Read for clarity. Read aloud. Write, and write profusely. Constant rewriting, revision and restructuring come with the territory. Keep a daily journal of your reading and writing experiences.